Look, have mercy on me.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of On the Bluff. I'm your host, Christian Fowler. Joining me, my co-host, Gabe Kuhn. Gabe, what's up, my friend?
Nothing much, man. Hanging in there, trying to feel better about where the Tigers are at right this second.
How's that going?
Not good. Not good. No way to feel good about it. But yeah, I had a good weekend. Did you have a good weekend?
I did.
Good to hear.
Friday night, me and Anna Ruth went out to Coastal. First time. It's the first time I'd been there. She's been there a few times.
What'd you get?
I got lobster ravioli.
Okay.
And it was
probably pretty damn good.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
I got some crab claws. She got the redfish, which was also very good.
Redfish is okay.
It
is, man. They say it's jambalaya under there.
Kind of.
It ain't jambalaya, but it tastes good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, regardless if it's jambalaya or not, it tastes all right.
It was good. We got a dark chocolate-covered key lime pie for dessert. Also fire.
Do you have a bottle of wine or anything?
No, she had a few glasses of rosé.
Okay. Oh, she's a rosé drinker. Like the sweetness.
No, she usually doesn't like sweet wine.
Okay, but she got rosé.
She's usually a cab drinker.
Yeah.
But she did.
I hate sweet wine, by the way. Sidebar.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Cannot do it.
I just don't like wine in general.
Yeah.
I don't like any of it. It's not very good.
You don't drink alcohol, so there is that.
Not wine.
You don't like alcohol.
No, I don't. And wine especially.
Okay.
Would be bottom tier.
What about champagne? Did you do champagne?
I could do champagne.
Glass of champagne?
Yeah, I did a couple glasses of champagne on New Year's this year.
There you go.
It was palatable.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Not dry. Like, it has to be sweet. It has to be something that doesn't really taste like alcohol. That's the problem.
I hear you.
Like,
What's that ridiculous wine that people buy? It's like the white bottle with like all the fruits on it. I forget exactly.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah, I know
about?
what
But
you're
it's like
talking
the sweetest.
Yeah.
Sweetest.
Is it like Capriccio or something like that? Is that right?
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I see that type of stuff is disgusting.
I've never
can't do
had
that.
it.
That
I've
would be
just
like a
seen it
college
before.
drink.
A college drink.
You know what I mean?
Like, you could give me a.
I'm gonna be hungover as hell drinking that.
Like, legitimately, I could drink like a Reds or an Angry Orchard. That's bad.
Do they make Reds apple ale anymore?
Yeah.
Dude, seriously?
Yeah.
I remember the advertising and like the commercials when we were younger. I don't remember. I mean, I have not seen a Reds apple ale in probably since I was in high school.
Yeah, I don't know how they're still around, but actually, I saw some this weekend in the store. I went in the gas station out in.
You're down there in Mississippi,
Ingram's
though.
Mill, Mississippi.
See, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're probably still left over from our high school days.
You know what they have in this particular gas station at
What?
Ingram's Mill and Red Banks Road,
What?
out in Byhalia, Mississippi. They've got your typical beer, like Michelob, Bud Light, Budweiser, White Claw,
Right?
Busch Ice, Milwaukee's
Ice.
Best, that kind of stuff. Reds, and that's pretty much it.
I mean, is this just Busch Ice? Since you brought it up,
Yeah.
It's just like a real conversation. If you see someone drinking a Busch Ice,
They're probably
get out of
homeless.
that room. But
They're-
just
well,
get out of
they're
that room.
probably
Like,
homeless.
like even if you're at like a get together, your friends, and they have like a Busch Ice.
They're homeless.
I didn't say they were
it's-
for
it's-
100%,
I mean-
but probably like a Milwaukee's Best. Like usually you see a Busch Ice.
You're not
going
going to see a 12-pack of Busch Ice. I can tell you that right
No.
now. You're going to see You're going to see the
40.
tall boys.
Yeah.
It's tall boys.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you see a Busch Ice or like a Natty Daddy,
Run.
don't be near that person.
Yeah, they're either homeless or
A problem.
Yeah.
They're a problem person.
you probably bought it for them. If somebody's drinking a Busch Ice,
You probably bought it. It's a brown paper bag beer.
100.
Yeah, that's what it is. So,
100%.
But yeah, so they have Busch Ice though. That's
Yeah.
part of their limited selection.
Very limited selection. Like it's two
And then
fridge.
Red's apple ale.
Yeah, they had Reds.
Nice.
They did.
It's beautiful. Smirnoff Ice probably somewhere in there.
I don't recall.
No, that's
I didn't see
that's too highfalutin. That's like
the dude. Okay, just to like break this down even deeper. Like the dude that owns this gas station, his name is Ed. Like this gas station doesn't have a name. There's no signage on this place. It's everybody just calls it Ed's. Like,
oh okay.
and he still to this day, 2024, smokes cigarettes in there.
Oh,
It smells like we walked out of there smelling like an ashtray. Like I'm just gonna set this up for you. You walk in the door. There's two gas pumps outside. I don't even know if they work. I really don't think they do. I'm not 100% sure. You walk in. On your left-hand side, there's like an old wooden dining table with a probably 24-inch TV. it was playing old westerns, and Ed sitting at the table.
He was probably staring it down, watching it very closely.
Ed sitting at the table with
subtitles on it.
I don't think so.
Okay, it was turned up a little bit.
Yeah,
so
you could hear it throughout the story. And they're like the old little plastic ashtrays. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Just a tiny little circle ashtray.
Yeah,
and he's just smoking down.
Okay, Ed's a simple man. He's a simple man, and his gas station is simple too.
Yeah, and he slings pizza out of there, and it tastes like cigarettes.
I would say, buddy, have you bought a slice of pizza?
I've never bought. No, I've never bought. He sells it by the box, like he sells pizza.
Oh, get the hell out of here!
Out
of the he picked like a pie.
Yeah,
hey,
like
hey, Ed, I want a pie.
Yes, 100%. 100%. And so Michael's parents live half a mile from this gas station, and they've had the pizza over there before, and I tried it, and it literally tastes like Ed was just ashing cigarettes on it. Like it tastes like cigarettes.
He just cooks it. Does he even have an oven in there?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know how the operation goes. I have no idea how the operation goes.
Ed's cooking pies back there.
Yeah, if you walk in this gas station, you feel transported to like circa 85 to 90.
Ed is cooking pies in his gas station.
Yeah, smoking cigs.
Oh my God, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's true. I should take you there sometime.
Yes, and I want to check it out. I want to try a slice of this pie.
This cigarette pie. Yeah. Might be worth it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, sometimes people like the wood-fired smoky flavor on the crust.
Doesn't taste like wood-fired. It tastes like
tobacco,
cigarettes.
Smoked tobacco.
It tastes like a Marlboro Red. Like that's the flavor.
Like a cowboy killer. It tastes like a cowboy killer.
A cowboy killer. Yeah. Okay. Straight up Marlboro Red cheese on that pizza.
That's good.
It's so true.
That's good. Shout out Ed.
Yeah.
Shout out Ed.
Ed gets it. So yeah. Saturday night we went over to my buddy's house and watched the fights.
Yeah, good fights, great fights.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But that was very entertaining. They went late this month though.
Yeah, and I was over at a buddy's house watching, and Taylor was over there. And she had driven, and she's like, "I want to leave." And it's like we have 2 more fights left. We have the co-main and the main event. We can't just leave.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah, like,
did y'all leave?
No, we didn't. But she was pissed the whole rest of the night.
Man.
She's sitting there like with her arms crossed, like. I'm like, we have to watch the co-main event and the main event.
I'll give Anna Ruth
and then
credit.
It went 5 full rounds
right.
in the main, and I'm like,
yeah. And you think the Dustin Poirier and Benoit Saint Denis, you're probably thinking, oh, this is good. Second round finish, it's over. Like this one could be quick too, and it just wasn't. But I'll give Anna Ruth credit. She thugged it out because we were sitting there. We were both pretty tired.
I was pooped,
and I even offered, and this is pretty nuts, but like I even offered after the MVP Kevin Holland fight. I was like, if you want to go, we can go. Like I can watch the rest of it on my phone. We're fine. We can leave.
You're a good man. You're a better man.
And
than
she
I.
was like, no, I'm fine. I'm just as good staying as I am leaving. And like, she was good.
You're a better man than I, because there was no way I was going to offer that.
Well, I just am a very rational thinker, and I knew that it was already late. And I knew that the time change was imminent. So, like, this card going late couldn't have happened at a worse time.
The time change. I didn't even think about the time change until I woke up the next morning an hour later and was confused.
Yeah. Because I don't think the fights went off till like 12:45.
Because it goes from 2 to 3. That's what the spring forward is, right?
Yeah. It goes from 1:59 to 3.
1:59 to, oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
But it is bright out late, which that always makes me happier.
It's like...
My happier
sun
person.
probably just set like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. I hate when it gets dark as hell early. I hate the winter for that. It's terrible.
You're like, you want to go to bed at 5:30.
Oh, God. Like, you're just zapped to energy.
Yeah.
That's when people talk about seasonal depression. That's when the seasonal depression hits me, is when it gets dark
when
at
you
5
fall back.
PM.
Yeah.
Oh.
I agree. Because your day feels like it's
it's over.
3 hours shorter.
And I have a freaking show from 4 to 7. You know what I mean? So, like, I get out of there, it is just pitch black.
And it's bedtime.
Yes. Exactly.
Yep. All right. Well, trying to think of how we want to do this. I've got an idea. We'll run with it, and we'll see if you want to change it.
All right.
On talking Memphis basketball, Tigers played a game on Saturday.
Sure did.
Against FAU. I don't really see too much of a necessity of sitting here and breaking it down, talking about it, because at the end of the day, it's kind of null and void. Doesn't matter. It is what it is.
And how much did we really expect them to go into Florida Atlantic and
win that game? Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And that didn't happen. I think there are reasons, obviously, that it did not happen, defensively being the biggest. in this game. Jordan Brown being a big reason that they weren't able to win this game and, potentially put themselves in a better spot going into the AAC tournament coming up in Fort Worth. But if y'all are cool with it, let's focus our energy there, not talking about this FAU game. Because like I said, it's in the past now. It doesn't matter. We're kind of in a 0-0 reset, like you're 0-0 going into the tournament. It's wide open. Anybody can win it. The last game doesn't really matter. So here we go. Conference tournament, 5th seed, Memphis Tigers. They'll face either Rice or
Wichita State.
Wichita State, 12-13. How do we feel? How do we feel after the last sample size of games? We'll call it the last 4 or 5 games that Memphis played. How do we feel about their chances of going into Fort Worth and somehow winning this tournament and getting into the NCAA tournament? Because now we know that's the only shot.
I don't have a lot of hope they're going to win 4 games in 4 days. And the reason I say that is because the consistency part of this team is completely gone. And then when you add the fact that they could be tired, they may be reaching, you may have some foul trouble with Naquan Tomlin or Nick Jourdain like you did in the Florida Atlantic game. There's just a lot of things that are angling against them. They needed that double bye is what they really needed, and
100%.
they didn't get it. But I will say this. They did get on the side of the bracket that I feel okay about.
Yeah.
Because you get Rice and Wichita State. If you win that game, which they should absolutely run away, handle that game. Should, but they did lose to Rice.
They lost to Rice, and
but
they had a 2-point win over Wichita State in their last matchup. So
yeah, but then they beat the hell out of Wichita State the time before that at Wichita State. So, okay, they should win that game.
Should.
This side of the bracket is UAB and South Florida. I would like to avoid the Florida Atlantic side until you get to the championship game, right? And then maybe some crazy stuff could happen over there. I know they've had some trouble with UAB, but I think that second half here at FedEx Forum definitely showed a lot about them sort of figuring out their footing and understanding what they need to do against UAB. But I like the side of the bracket they're on. But that being said, 4 games in 4 days with the lack of rest, with the front court depth that they don't possess, with just how they've played sort of up and down all year, I wouldn't be in my right head if I had like some tremendous confidence they're going to be able to run through and win this thing. But they the talent-wise, they're more than capable.
It's possible.
Capability is not what we've been talking about capability all year, though.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think you're absolutely right. They have the talent. They have the potential to do it. If they did, it's not like we would sit here and freak out and be like, oh my gosh, I could have never seen this coming. No, it's absolutely possible. We know it's on the table. But to me, there's 2 marquee points. Inconsistency, like you said, is at the forefront, has been all year. That's the common theme of the year. Secondly, is just defensive deficiencies. The lack of defense that they play to be able to outscore 4 opponents in 4 days with the amount that this team has struggled this year on the defensive end, that's hard. That's really hard to do. If you're a really solid defensive team, you can hold a team to 50 to 60 points. You can score that amount, win a game, be fine. If you can run out of there with 68 points. If you're having to score 80 to 90 points every game to win, maybe outside of the Rice or Wichita State game, that's a tough ask.
Yeah.
It's a tough ask for your offense to be that on every single game. And that's to me the biggest reason why I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. It could happen, but just the defensive deficiencies and the overall inconsistencies of this team don't give me any confidence to believe that they can pull it off.
The deficiencies on the defensive end also, like, we thought all year maybe if Penny pulled some strings, made some adjustments, they sort of, the light bulb clicks or the switch flips and they're all intense and they're ready to go, they would be fine on the defensive end. Like, we thought that it would get figured out.
Right.
That Florida Atlantic game showed me they just don't and obviously I was at this conclusion before that. But they just don't have it. They just don't have it. They can't switch. When they don't switch, they don't play through screens well enough.
They're lazy.
They're just don't have the intensity night to night. You don't half to half, minute to minute, shift to shift.
Yeah.
So I can't in my right mind think very highly of their chances in this tournament. I will say this though. Let's operate on the idea that they do win this tournament, get into the field of 68. what does that do to your perception of this year?
Nothing.
Right?
No.
That's where I'm at too.
I agree.
But I think that winning it almost, and this is an abstract thought. I think winning it would be a soft landing for Penny and like the staff.
Absolutely.
And for everybody, because I think even if they win, for me, it's still a disappointing year. And even if they get into the tournament winning the AAC championship.
Right.
Still disappointing. But I think a lot of people in this fan base would be like, oh,
they still made it.
They still made it. He did what he promised,
right.
Yada, yada, yada. But no, we know better.
Well, yeah, and we know what could have been this year and what ultimately will not be because of the deficiencies that this team had and the way that they were constructed and just overall the roller coaster that this season was. This is the biggest what if team that I mean obviously haven't been around forever, but like. Well, yeah, you have that, but he didn't. He left.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't. This team stayed together the whole year outside of Caleb Mills, and you have a lot of debate on the magnitude of what that injury did to this team. Some people think that it was the reason that this team is where they are now. You have other people that think kind of insignificant in the grand scheme, that there was other things that happened that caused kind of the demise of this team. But regardless of that, good teams, even when starters go down, because I wouldn't even necessarily call Caleb Williams like a centerpiece of this team, maybe in the locker room, but not necessarily on the floor as far as talent and scoring.
Best perimeter defender on defense.
Yeah. I agree with that. But
I know what you mean.
He's just not someone that you think is going to make or break a team going to the tournament.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. And so there's just so many different things when you really peel back the layers of this year, that and I agree with what you're saying. I think it would give a soft landing regardless of what has happened and regardless of all the turmoil that we've seen this year. And soft landing, another word, really, it would let them off the hook.
Yes, it would.
For what has been done this year and what's happened this year.
Listen, I would want nothing more to see it than to see them in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
But I'm not one, like a lot of folks in this fan base, who would switch their whole perception on this team based on that.
Season.
I can't do that.
The season, to me, the season.
What's been done is done, in my opinion, already.
Yes.
Just, if they go get hot in the AAC tournament,
unless they made
it to the second weekend,
16, Sweet 16, Elite 8,
it doesn't change my perception.
Like that would change my perception because you really
but anything less than that, it doesn't.
But if you go in the tournament and get first round bounced, it's the same to me as them not going at all, because really the only reason they got there is because they ran the gambit in the tournament, and that's it.
I'm going to ask you this: did you see Penny's Instagram posts?
No, I didn't.
All right, let me go ahead and find these Instagram posts really quick for you. He took a picture.
I've taken a social media exodus.
Okay, I got you.
And it's been
so. Let's see
glorious.
if does Penny still have these up, Kenny? I don't know.
I think they were on a story, so I doubt they're up. But basically, it was him saying, "You me say it."
Yeah, go ahead.
He basically was saying it's just never good enough.
Yeah, he had like he wrote out basically that for some people it'll never be good enough, and I guess the quote that he was putting that next to is like, it's always better to be you than anybody else or whatever, like something to that,
with a picture of the AAC championship.
And then the next
trophy.
one was the AAC championship trophy. And he's sort of, the idea there, in my opinion, if I'm just reading through it, he's like saying, "Oh, look at what I've already accomplished."
Right. And then now it's
you know what I mean? Like, what bothers me.
I don't mean to laugh, but that's hilarious.
It's true though.
I mean,
like, listen, what bothers me about that and like the messaging behind it is he's playing the victim. Like, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah. And sports in general.
He said, "Damned if I do, damned if I don't," by the way, which was the funniest shit I've ever. You didn't. What do you mean? Yeah. You're not damned if you do.
You ain't done it. You ain't done it, bro.
If you would have kept this team in the top 25 all year and had an easy AAC tournament, or easy NCAA tournament at-large bid, you did, and no one would be complaining. No one would be out here. Yeah, we'd be talking about the games and maybe critical of certain decisions in games. But if you ended this,
not the thing as a whole.
If you ended this year in the top 2 of the AAC in an easy NCAA tournament lock,
no one saying
you would have done, and nobody would have said anything. So damned if you do, or damned if you don't, is dumb as hell.
Yeah.
That is just preposterous that he put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, sports are widely a "what have you done for me lately" business. It should be. It's a results business. That's what it is. And if you look back at last year, we weren't having these conversations about Penny and the team. It was all praise because he took a team that shouldn't have been there really and put them there. And this year, beginning of the year, when Memphis is a top 10 team in the country, nobody's saying anything negative. There's no negative at all. And this is kind of a point that we've really been making over the last several weeks is you and I specifically, like, we're going to give credit when credit is due, and we're going to analyze and be critical if criticism is necessary. And I mean, that's how it should be. Like
that's what this business
what
is, man.
It's analysis. It's breaking it down. It's talking about what you see. And what we've seen this year is a massive meltdown and massive uprisings, massive meltdowns, massive uprisings. But
it all equals inconsistency, which is what the program has been in a lot of ways under Penny thus far. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and this is a team that should have easily been an at-large team. In our minds, at least a second weekend team with
at full strength.
Who knows what the seal? I mean, a lot of us were saying Sweet 16 was fully within range for this team and the way that they were playing earlier in the year. And so when you contrast that with now, this is a team that more than likely isn't even going to make the NCAA tournament. And if they do, it's because they go win 4 games in 4 days and really have to fight their way to get in. And that's not what it seemed that the destiny of this team was. And I think there were decisions made. I think there were things done that caused all that to be held back. And I kind of want to know y'all's thoughts on this. And maybe this is just going way too deep on it. But how much does or did the Jordan Brown decision affect this year? How much weight does that carry on this year and what it did? Because we don't know what went on behind the scenes. We don't know what happened. All we can say is this team looked a little bit out of sorts early in the year. He leaves.
10 straight wins.
They looked the best they looked all year. He comes back, and it's been a roller coaster ride. And you would have to imagine a situation where a player leaves the team and comes back. That could potentially, behind the scenes, be an unpopular decision. Like I said, we don't know. We don't know all the ins and outs. I guess there's a little bit of speculation going on here, but it's just a question. It's just a curiosity of what happened to this team. I feel comfortable
without saying I'm speculating that this was a Penny and staff decision, and that there was a fair amount of players that were not super okay with Jordan Brown coming back. That's what I can tell you pretty matter-of-factly about that entire thing. I don't know how much that played into it. I can say this, though. The entire Jordan Brown experience played into this team not getting to where it needed to go. Yeah. You gave him all this NIL money. You promised him a lot, and that's probably part of the reason he ended up they made the decision to bring him back when he had left the program and they were winning and yada yada. But I think the entire Jordan Brown experience was a massive negative, massive black mark on this season at large.
Yeah.
You gave him a bunch of money, and it just never came to fruition how you needed it to come to fruition. And the other part of it is, like, I don't want to go too hard on Jordan Brown. I don't know him personally. I don't know any of these things. I just know that he did not play well. He may have had a back injury along the way. Who knows about that? But I don't know how much that played into it. I just think what it comes down to is, the Caleb Mills injury, not having a leader hurt.
For sure.
And then I just think the way this team was put together versus the contrast of what Penny wants to do.
Right, what they actually did.
I don't think he figured that out quick enough.
Yeah.
Like, this team is very offensively inclined. That's what they want to do. They're not a big defensive team, and Penny kept trying to put this square peg in the round hole. I want to run defense. I want to press. I want to do all these things. I just think there was a contrasting style of what Penny wants to do and what his roster wants to do.
Yeah, I agree.
And that was sort of the biggest thing there. And there was definitely within the locker room, there had to be some type of
feeling
and, like, maybe a loss of faith, that type of thing along the way.
No, I mean, I completely agree. I think those 3 things, I think the Caleb Mills injury, I think the whole Jordan Brown, is he in, is he out, is he back, now he's playing, now he's not. And like you're saying, just the clash of what it should have been versus what it was.
Yes.
Stylistically.
Yes. And it felt like during that 4-game winning streak toward the end of the year he's starting to figure it out.
Right.
Starting to understand. And then that Florida Atlantic game hits, and it's like,
Yeah. No, I mean, those are...
Can I share some thoughts real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts on this as well.
I think that I agree with everything that you two just said. I do think... Do I think that the Jordan Brown decision to come back was the catalyst for what we've seen with the Tigers this year? I would say no to that.
Right.
But mainly what I think that it was another example of showing it was kind of it showed that Penny doesn't have a solid culture within his program. Within the Lori Walton facility.
It's a symptom of a larger problem with the program.
I think that I
agree.
Good culture, good coaching can outlast an injury like Caleb Mills. Good culture and good coaching can would tell Jordan Brown to kick rocks. Good coaching and could help you work through bringing in 13 out of 14 or 14 out of 15 players or 13 out of 15 players, whatever it is. I think a lot of times when you hear somebody complaining a lot of it is projection. Yeah. And when I hear Penny talking about the chemistry issues with this team, what I felt like my opinion on it has kind of developed into it not being a chemistry issue or not a chemistry issue like Penny then turned around and said, I think what it was that Penny had chemistry issues with his guys.
Like a disconnect.
100%.
He didn't know how to coach them.
Because he's asking them to do things that he wants and not morphing his style to fit them.
To their strengths.
And here's the other part of this, Kenny. And I just want to add, I'm going to pose this question. I'm not, because I understand what Jordan Brown was, you know, on like 19-9, Lou Henson Award winner, awesome at Louisiana. I get what he was. If you build up your culture and the understanding of what you want to bring into a program, right? If you've built that up.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Would you have been on the front end even recruiting Jordan Brown?
Yeah.
Because he never got up and down the floor. He was never a fast-paced player.
No,
he's sort of opposite of what you try to do on the offensive end. You don't just feed the post. That's not what you've ever done.
Never.
And so, on the back end, could you ask that question? Like, your culture and your understanding of what you want in the portal and on the recruiting trail isn't where it needs to be, because generally speaking, if you're going to play the style of ball that you want to play, which is up and down the floor, defense into offense, pressing, Jordan Brown never fit that.
Right. No, I mean, you're absolutely right. If you have a specific style, and I think we said this last week, fit the players to your scheme, not the scheme to your players.
No. That's the other way around, right? You want to fit the scheme.
Fit the players to
your scheme.
I'm saying fit the players to your scheme as far as I'm saying recruit the players for your scheme.
Yes, if that's what you want to do.
Recruit the players for your scheme.
But the other option would be get the players and then morph the scheme to your players.
Exactly.
Which I think is a better option personally.
Yeah. So
that's what I think a great coach is.
The players and the scheme, the thought in those two things need to be aligned. If there's a disconnect, it's going to be obvious on the floor, in the locker room, everywhere. That disconnect is going to be there. So I think you're on to something there, because we all we're definitely victims of this. We saw, stats, shiny thing, and we were like, oh my gosh. But when you peel back the layers and you go watch film and you're like, whoa, wait a second. This never made sense. From the jump, this didn't make sense. Yes, good player coming here.
You want hope. You like you're 19-9. You get distracted by that.
Best mid-major player in the country.
Yeah, you just get distracted by that, and you don't realize. Wait a second,
this doesn't fit.
And you know what? It really hit
me too. What was the guy from Middle Tennessee?
TFA Leonard would have been perfect for this. Perfect for this. 100%.
Perfect.
But they dropped him like a bad habit.
Right.
Jaquan, come on down. You know what I mean? That's how that ended up. But I don't know, man. When I first sort of started thinking about Jordan Brown's fit, I was talking to David Cobb from CBS Sports. It was in the offseason when Penny was putting together the recruiting class. And I asked him about Jordan Brown. I was like, man, what a great get. And he goes, well, yeah. Like Jordan's been a great player wherever he's been. And, he was great at Arizona. He was very, very solid at Louisiana. But he goes, I don't know. He's like, you have to be very intentional about getting Jordan Brown the ball in the post, and Penny's never done that. And I just started thinking, I'm like, damn,
he's right.
He might be right,
sense.
but you still want to hold out hope,
of course,
to try to see, okay, damn, can this guy do what he did at Louisiana here? Can he give us that level of production?
Can it morph?
But no dice, and
Terrible.
you saw it relatively fast.
But even in that sense, he has been getting the ball in the post when he's played, and he can't do shit with it.
I agree.
That's the other aspect. That's the other aspect.
How hurt is his back, guys?
Man,
really
Penny said he was 90% the day before the game.
Dude, I don't know. Watching that FAU game, like watching him even attempt to play offense or defense on Vlad Golden was embarrassing. I mean, it was embarrassing. And that's, I mean, like you're saying, I don't know Jordan Brown. I don't want to disrespect him. I think he's had an incredible collegiate career that's had a lot of twists and turns, and great for him that it turned out where it was at Louisiana. I don't know if I don't know what's going on, but that's not the same. That's not the same.
It's clearly not the same.
It's clearly not the same guy. Like Vlad Golden dominated him on both ends of the floor. Like he was dunking on him on one end and stuffing him at the other end, and it was just bad. It was bad, and he just kept. Penny just kept him out there, and it just kept happening repeatedly.
That was the worst.
Everybody. Mark Adams needs to eat his words. A couple of broadcasts ago, he said this team's better without Malcolm Dandridge.
Yeah,
kiss my ass. No, they're not.
Right?
No, they're not.
Not against FAU.
It got so bad during that game. We started seriously considering, does Gabe Kuhn have eligibility left? Like we got to get Gabe in the post,
dude. It was
because God,
I can give you 5 fouls. I'll tell you that. I'll give you 5 fouls.
Yeah, at least grab his arms. Don't let him dunk.
Don't let him dunk.
It was bad. It was
that
bad.
spin move we saw from Lambeth on him, man.
Oh God, you like that spin
move with the?
For those that don't know, I have an Instagram video out there of the 6th. It was like the 16th play on a Lambeth campus drive
scrimmage.
My senior year at a scrimmage when we were at Lambeth. By the way, they have the worst, like, what do you call those things that just dig at your ankles?
Dig at your ankle?
The
little grass bugs? Chiggers.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they were killing my ankles.
All right, I see what you just did there.
What'd I do?
Got you. Go ahead.
What'd I do?
Keep going.
What'd I do?
Nothing. You're good.
I didn't do anything.
We'll talk off air.
Okay, but yeah, that's where that comes from. But I could give you 5 fouls end of the day.
For sure. All right, boys, let's move it on off of this. Let's get off of this. We're gonna take a break, but quickly before that, let's just run through. Let me just run through this season real quick for Memphis basketball. Then I'm gonna say something funny about Kenny, like I always do.
That's what we need.
That's what we're here for. Caleb Mills injury, Jordan Brown saga, Malcolm Dandridge saga, Penny's remarks to the press saga. It's been just a wild season.
Yeah,
we need a little bit of this.
Yeah, we need
little
some calm.
serenity, a little calm. Nothing, and I mean nothing, brings me more calm, more serenity, more bliss than a hot 3 from Kenny Stubblefield.
I'll give you a hot 3 anytime you want it.
I know you.
Oh God, that made me uncomfortable.
Me too, in the best way. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we will be back on the other side with the hot 3.
Zaire and Jake is definitely a hard sell. But what happens here is the Pistons, who have no intention of winning games, clearly, I don't know, have they won their 3rd yet? I'm sure they have. They are not in a position to compete, so they're just going to build up assets. And so what you do is you attach picks to that, and then you send it over, and then they see if maybe they can get something out of Zaire or Jake, whoever they might take. But the real return for them is the picks, right? Just like when we traded for Iguodala, the return was for picks. We didn't want Iguodala. He clearly didn't want us. So we just got picks out of it. It'd be the same thing for a Detroit or for another team in that scenario. So Grizzlies get off of the contracts. Then the Pistons, in this situation is what's been rumored, get some assets out of it. And then potentially you get a reclamation project that actually works out, which does happen every once in a while. Lauri Markkanen, once upon a time, was a very disappointing draft pick. Not very disappointing, but disappointing, at least a little bit.
Tune in to the Grizz 901 postgame show, live after every Grizzlies game on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
And we say all this, and now there's already talk. They haven't even done the 12th team, And Kenny, they're already talking about expanding it to 14 in 2026.
I'm down for every bit of it.
I am too. Expand it. Keep going. Kenny, have you seen what the proposal is for the expanded to 14? 3 guaranteed SEC, 3 guaranteed Big 10. That's 6. 2 ACC, 2 Big 12. So now you're at 10, and then 1 G5 representative with 3 at large. Top 2
It's going to be that way anyway.
Is it?
I mean,
it's going to be that way anyway, so why not?
Yeah, likely.
I don't mind it. If it gets the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12, all those power conferences on board, do it. Why not?
As long as we still get a shot.
Yeah, I think as long as any G5 still has a chance, right?
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. Oh, boys, we're back. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Man, the energy level is on fire today. So I really don't feel like I'm needed that much.
You're
always.
But I'm going to turn some music up.
There we
for
go.
you, just in case. Just to get it back up. Just to get the energy levels right.
I feel good.
There we go.
Because, guys, it has been a crazy day in NFL free agency.
It has.
And so topic number 1 in the hot 3 is NFL free agency. And I want to do this with you. I want to ask you, we're going to go through a couple of different players. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask you 2 questions about this deal. And I want you to give your thoughts. And I'm sure there's going to be guys that are really influential that I missed, that I don't know why they're influential. Maybe you guys can fill in the gaps on that. But here we go. Free agent number 1. We're going to start off with Memphis, a Memphis guy. Tony Pollard leaves the Dallas Cowboys and signs with the Tennessee Titans at 3 years, $24 million. Going to be matching up with Tajay Spears in the backfield with the Tennessee Titans. What are y'all's thoughts on that contract?
So we have fit, and then if they're worth it or not.
The value of the contract.
Value and then fit. So let's start with value. I think 3 years, 24 is fine for Tony.
I think
8 a year.
Yeah, I don't think
It's under the tag amount. He's a 1,000-yard rusher previously.
He got paid 10 last year.
He can catch the ball out of the backfield, so I think he can last in this league for longer than normal backs. I thought he was very good with the Cowboys for the most part. He just wasn't on that same level of the Zeke peak. Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of Cowboys fans that were turned off by him. So I think the value's fine.
Now, fit
is interesting.
Fit, I don't think it's a good fit at all. I think him and Tajay Spears do a lot of the same things.
That's what I wondered too.
My big issue is change of the offense. How is that going to look? What do they do? Because this has been a team that runs in between the tackles and runs the hell out of Derrick Henry.
Right.
And I don't know if they're built right now with their wide receiver core of DeAndre Hopkins at however old he is. He was good last year.
And nobody.
And nobody besides that. Nick Westbrook-Akina, is he even there anymore? Traylon Burks has been bad and hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're built to just air the ball out with Will Levis at quarterback. So you're going to have to run a lot. And I don't know if they just have the O-line or the scheme to go make that happen.
They had the worst offensive line in the league last year.
The thing that does help him is Tony will get good production because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can be a good check down guy.
Yeah, but
you can split him out into the slot and go.
So can Tajay Spears.
But who gets paid more? They're going to run the guy who gets paid more, probably.
Right.
So I don't know about the fit. And I think largely with anybody with the Titans, I don't know about fit at this particular moment.
Because we have no idea what the direction is.
You have Will Levis at quarterback and not much like defense.
Pretty bare. I mean,
normal, regular.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Byard gone, Azeez Al-Shahir.
You just have Jeffrey Simmons.
Really, just Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah. So
Sean Murphy Bunting gone.
Yeah.
Right.
I think so. So I like the value. Fine, $8 million a year. I'm not gonna shame you for paying him $8 million a year.
Strange.
Fit is just with anybody on the Titans. It's weird.
Yep.
All right, let's go next. Another Memphis guy, our guy, Bryce Huff, signs a deal with the Eagles, 3 years, $51.1 million. Shout out to Bryce. You guys said this before the show. What is he, Christian? He is now the what?
The highest paid non-quarterback undrafted free agent of all time.
Stunning.
Yes.
Bryce
Okay.
Huff.
He's the best Tiger outside of Jake Elliott in the league,
right now. Yeah, I agree
And Jake's
with
in
that.
a different category.
Value, I think the value is fine.
Yeah.
I don't think they overpay.
Fair.
I mean, it's a 10-sack guy, edge rusher.
He was going to get that
anywhere. Yeah. Premium,
anywhere.
Premium position. The fit, how do you not love the fit? This is the team that does this. And even with Fletcher Cox gone, you still got Jalen Carter up front, Hassan Reddick. We don't really know what
I
they're
think he's any kind of the Hassan Reddick.
They're kind of
replacement.
replacement. That's what it feels like. I think the Eagles are the best fit outside of the Jets or right alongside with the Jets for him because Bryce has excelled in a way I'm trying to say this, a non-heavy rotational role. I guess.
yeah.
I mean, he's not an
In
every
a kind
down.
of non-traditional way.
Right.
Third down.
He's not an every snap guy. He is a pass rusher. That is his
But
specialty.
with the Eagles, he's going to have to be on the field a lot more.
Yeah, I'd say he'll be on the field a little bit more, but I still his bread and butter is going to be rushing the pass.
Getting off the line. He's second in pass rush win rate the last 2 years. I mean, I think that the value is fair, and I think the fit is perfect. I think with the Jets, the fit's maybe a little less for him.
Yeah.
Because they have so many guys up front that are going to take time away from him. Now with the Eagles, he'll get more time on the field. He'll have to play some rundowns as well as the pass, so we'll see what that does to his pass rush. But he had 10 sacks last year,
Right.
and he was a rotational piece on third down.
Yep.
I can't wait to see him on the field for more third downs to see how many more sacks he can get. But he does kind of remind me, this is sort of that Uchenna Nwosu. If you remember him, he went to the Seahawks and got a similar contract a couple years ago. But he was a rotational piece for the Chargers, gets signed by the Seahawks on a bigger contract because he took all the lack of snaps he had and turned them into gold.
Yep.
And I'm impressed with Bryce. It's kind of funny. Like I remember I had to gain a whole bunch of weight my senior year to play right tackle, and it was his first year, or my junior year, sorry, to play right tackle. It was his first year on campus. I'm 3 years older than him, and I knew from day one. I'm sitting there doing skills and drills for the first time I'm ever seeing him coming off the edge, and he had a matchup against me in one-on-one pass protection, and he burnt me like four or five times that day. So I've seen this for a while, and shout out to Bryce. He has turned a undrafted free agent signing into $51 million. Call the family.
Yep.
Do what you need to do.
$17 million
Shout
a
out.
year.
Well done.
That is crazy. I love that contract, and I love that for him. I think Bryce is awesome. He's been a part of two Tiger guys like yourself, Gabe, and Jacob Likes as well. Talked about he came on as a freshman offensive lineman and played against Bryce in practice.
Got blessed a few times.
And got blessed a few times by Bryce when Bryce was a senior. And he said, man, I was stunned. I was like, never expected anything like this before.
One thing Bryce does, like, if you just watch him play, yeah, he's got some pass rush moves. I have never live seen anybody get off the ball faster.
It's his first step.
Like, I'm not kidding you. His first step and his reaction when he sees the ball get snapped, it's unreasonable.
Yeah. And it translated.
It
very
translated unbelievably well, and they didn't expect it to because, again, he was an undrafted free agent.
All right, next one up is our guy Kirk Cousins leaving.
Our guy.
I don't know. He's leaving the Minnesota Vikings after, I think, 6 years in Minnesota.
Right.
Signed a 4-year deal with the Falcons for $180 million. $100 million of it guaranteed, with a $50 million signing bonus.
Oh my God.
I think both are good. I think the value is fair. You look at what the quarterbacks are getting paid right now. Kirk is not a top 5 option, but he's fringe top 10, and those guys are going to make $45 million a year. You look at the contract that Baker Mayfield signed, 3 years, $100 million. I'd rather have Kirk Cousins than Baker Mayfield. Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback, and the fit, I think, is great. You look at what Atlanta did. Raheem Morris, the new head coach, brought in Zach Robinson as the offensive coordinator.
Action.
Yep, and he was under Sean McVay in
Dead
LA.
on.
That offense is tailor-made for a quarterback like Kirk Cousins. And then you look, this is one of the better offensive lines in the league, led by Chris Lindstrom up
Sneaky,
front.
too.
Sneaky good offensive line. Then you look at the weapons around him: Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. We've been waiting on Drake London and Kyle Pitts to be unlocked as weapons. and with an offensive mind like Zach Robinson, and then a quarterback like Kirk Cousins who knows how to get his best players the ball, Atlanta should be a contender next year.
They should be a lock to win that division, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%.
But I guess you have the Buccaneers you're dealing with too.
But still.
Who just re-signed Baker Mayfield. But okay, so I'm going to zig a little bit on the value conversation. I think this is just an overpay, but most quarterback contracts, especially of guys that are this productive that can still play, they're going to be an overpay. But this is an overpay. He's coming off an Achilles. He's 35 years old, and you gave him $45 million a year.
Sure.
So shout out to who I think is it's like Mike McCartney. Is his agent. Shout out to him to get 4 years, $180 million.
Coming off an Achilles.
Coming off an Achilles
Aging.
at 35 years old. That's that is phenomenal.
Yeah, I think
that's good work if you can get it.
I think Kirk's now had $610 million in contracts.
That's where I'm at. Value. Well, I think he's way overpaid because he can be 39 by the time he gets out of this thing. But fit,
Seamless.
no notes. No notes. It's dead on.
Yep.
All right, next up, and it's crazy to me the level of contract difference between these two. Saquon Barkley signed with the Eagles. The Eagles let DeAndre Swift go, and they got Saquon Barkley in from the New York Giants. He signed a deal for 3 years at $37.75 million.
It could escalate to 46 with incentives too.
Value and fit. What do you think?
All right, I'm going to start with value.
Go for it.
I think it's an overpay, personally.
Yeah,
and it's not because I think like running backs shouldn't get paid that much. They should get paid a little less than they have in the past, but I think it's an overpay in the fact that DeAndre Swift was pretty solid.
Yeah, ran
and
for over 1,000 yards.
He wasn't getting paid anything, and you have a great O-line still. As long as you get a passable running back behind
that
offensive line and Jalen
Hurts,
you'll be fine. So I don't think you needed Saquon. As far as fit, though, hell yeah.
Yeah.
100%. This is perfect for him.
Yeah.
He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can be a threat in between the tackles. He can get off tackle.
Zone reads
He's a great
with those
screen
two.
guy. Good zone reads with
him
those
and
two.
Jalen Hurts.
I mean, and the O-line is one of the best in the NFL, even without Jason Kelsey.
And
So I like it.
Re-signed Landon Dickerson today, Pro
For
Bowl
a
guard,
lot of money.
money.
Guards got paid today, though,
Yeah, they
too.
did.
Robert Hunt.
Offensive lineman got paid.
Robert Hunt got 5
Yeah.
years, $100 million.
Kevin Dotson got a big deal a couple days ago, like $16 million a year.
Dudes are getting paid.
But no, it is an overpay. This is a guy that in his career, I think, has played 2 full seasons. He's an injury-prone running back. He's aging, but the talent is there. We know the talent's there.
Yeah.
The numbers slid a little bit last year, but that's because look at the anemic offense that he was playing on, that he was the only player that they had, and that's been the case in New York the last couple of years. $12 million. It's a bit of an overpay. It's not drastic. And you look at Tony Pollard making
if he
$8
reaches
million.
incentives, it might
If
be.
he reaches
It's
incentives,
nuts.
yeah. But you look at the base deal, $12 million a year. Tony signing 8-year, him signing
$8 million a year.
$8 million a year, and Saquon signing 12. I'm not sure what Josh Jacobs was with the Packers. I think it was similar.
Somewhere in between.
I think it was around that 10 to 12 mark. So it's not a drastic overpay, but it's a little bit of an overpay, but fit perfect.
Hey, per year, he got 1 extra year on his deal. Josh Jacobs did 4 year, $48 million.
So 12.
So around the same amount as
about
Saquon.
the same. Which they're pretty comparable.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Saquon, but Josh Jacobs is a good running back, a little bit more durable throughout his career.
Slightly younger, isn't he?
Yeah, a couple years younger probably. But Saquon was really young I think he's only 27. Super young when he came out.
Yeah.
But fit-wise, him and Jalen Hurts together in the backfield is dangerous.
Yes.
The only question mark on the fit to me, the Eagles have not been the biggest on throwing to running backs. That upped last year with DeAndre Swift. So I'll be interested to see if they integrate that a little bit more. You have to.
You're paying him that. It's a premium price for running back.
Right.
Don't get yourself.
You got to throw him the ball.
You have to use all of his
abilities.
The tools he possesses.
Yep, agreed.
All right, the last one I want to talk to you guys about, and then y'all can go with it in whatever direction y'all want to. You said it a couple of weeks ago after the Super Bowl that one of the biggest issues that the Chiefs needed to fill was get Chris Jones back. And they did, man.
Did they?
5 year, $158.75 million.
Bag, $95 million guaranteed.
I thought it was 101 in full guarantees.
95. It might have been, but I saw 95 initially.
So we're not going to do fit because we
Why
know.
didn't they just do this last offseason for
Right.
a little less money?
Yeah, they could have.
What the hell are they doing?
Like we
Why?
know.
Hey, but he's still not the highest paid defensive
Where
player.
it's kind of funny. Well, he's the highest paid D tackle.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny that they had all that stuff go on all last season just so they could a year later pay him at the top of the market. Well, I guess it probably would have been similar last year, but
not as much. That's a hell yeah of a raise, though.
It's just weird because clearly, like, the fact that they didn't pay him last offseason said that they had some concerns about him getting to the other side of 30. But he's still great.
They're fine. Those questions were answered this year.
Yeah, they were.
I guess, but
I mean, you can think about what he did in the playoffs. I mean, without him, they don't win the Super Bowl.
This is where I want to. If we're talking value, I mean, I can't with my right mind say that they shouldn't have paid him whatever the hell he's due.
100%.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he got paid a lot. He's the highest paid D tackle in league history. So, like, just generally speaking, you're like, damn, is he going to be able to live up for 5 more years at that same level of production? Maybe you'd say it's an overpay, but he means too much to the Super Bowl culture, the championship culture they've built, and you can't let him go. And how much value can I place on that?
Exactly.
Whatever you needed to pay him, you needed to pay him.
You paid him. And I'll close it out with this. Nick Bosa, I believe, is still the highest paid defensive player in the league at like $33 million.
It's nuts.
I'd rather have Chris Jones for $30 million a year than Nick Bosa $33.
Yep. He just means too much.
He is.
You can't put a price tag.
He's
on
the centerpiece of that defense. The way I saw it phrased is, why would you sign L'Jarius Sneed for $20 million a year who can take away one receiver when you can sign Chris Jones for $30 million a year and he can take away every receiver?
Yeah.
And it's fair.
Yeah.
And he's shown that he can do that in the moments that matters the most.
He's a franchise staple, too. We talk about Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce.
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones is in that same exact – he's in the same category as those guys.
Yep.
He is.
Championship culture.
So does this like cement to you that Kansas City will be the favorite? Like, or if they had not signed him, if they had let him go, does that change your view of where Kansas City is based on after today?
Yes, it would have, 100%. Yeah. Because you don't have somebody to get after the passer in the biggest moments. And he is consistently, not just in the regular season, when you get into the playoffs, he plays like a different human being.
Yeah.
He's even better. So, yeah, I would have felt way different. Because then at that point, who are we talking about getting after the passer? George Karlaftis? Charles Omenihu?
Yeah.
Who just tore his ACL or whatever, or his Achilles? I forget what it was. I mean, without Chris Jones, you don't have a pass rush, really.
Yeah. No, he is the high water mark for disruptors right now. And it was Aaron Donald. It was Aaron Donald for the longest time, but Chris Jones is the high water mark for disruptors in the NFL right now.
He's so helpful for Steve Spagnuolo, who's blitz happy too. He can convince him and his skill set and what he possesses and what he brings every game. He can convince Steve Spagnuolo to maybe play a little more conservative at times. He just opens some things up.
Has that.
Makes it easier to call plays for that defense when you have someone as disruptive as him, not just against the pass, but against the run as well.
Yep. All right, Kenny, next topic.
All right, topic number 2. We talked about it last week. UFC 299 was happening this weekend. All 3 of us watched it in probably separate places, but we all watched it. Hell of a card from top to bottom, man. It was a blast of a card to watch. I know we want to get to Sean O'Malley. I know we want to talk about Sean, but there's 2 fights that I specifically want to talk to you guys about before we get there, because I just feel like these 2 fights are about 2 different storylines, but are just phenomenal and were exclamated on this night. Jack Della Maddalena. Thank you. Sorry. He defeated Gilbert Burns in the round 3 at 343 KO with knees and elbows. That let me tell you, man, that knee was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in a fight. What did y'all think about the Gilbert Burns Jack Della Maddalena? Thank you.
JDM was trending downwards. He had been on the come up. He was one of the potential next big things at welterweight. And then his last 2 fights, he didn't look super impressive, had won both of them by split decision. And there were questions of, did they ramp this guy up too quickly? Did they hype this guy up too quickly? And now he gets a really, really difficult test in Gilbert Burns, who's one of the best welterweights of the last 5 or 6 years. And honestly, Gilbert was ahead in this fight. Like, Gilbert was winning this fight, and Jack Della Maddalena responded when he had to and pulled it out and sent his star shooting right back to the top.
What I got to say to him is stop getting taken down so freaking easily.
Yeah.
Good God, man. Stay off the ground.
Yeah. He's a striker.
I get it. But there are a lot of good – if you want to be considered a champion, get up there. Even as a striker, you just have to be able to keep yourself on your feet.
Yeah.
And that's my one thing about him. Yeah, shout out, good knockout. I'm a Gilbert Burns fan, but stay off the damn ground.
Yeah.
7 takedowns is nuts.
Yeah.
Now that does mean you got back to your feet eventually.
Right.
But dude, he made it easy.
He made it easy. He pulled it out.
He did.
That knee was crazy. The exchange was wild, man.
Wasn't even the craziest knee of the night, though.
No, it was not. Second fight that I want to talk to you guys about is the co-main event.
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier versus
Benoit
Saint Denis. Obviously, you got JDM, who's a good fighter, who's a new fighter, trying to, supplant himself as a staple in the UFC, and then you got Dustin Poirier, who literally is a legend in the UFC. I think something like 50 fights in the UFC at this point.
30 in the UFC.
30 in the UFC.
50 pro.
50 pro. Mm-hmm. Just an unbelievable fighter. And I saw a lot of pre-fight. There was a conversation around: are they setting him up
for a changing of the guard?
Right. Is this a changing of the guard type of situation?
Yeah.
And Dustin Poirier said absolutely not.
Yeah, in emphatic fashion. And I mean, there has to be a lot said about a top 5 ranked fighter that's willing to take on the young, hungry, up and come. And Benoit Saint Denis has looked like a killer. He's won every fight in the UFC.
He just got caught.
5 straight knockouts. Like, he's been incredible. And the fight was extremely competitive. It was fight of the night for a reason. It was an incredible fight. But Dustin Poirier, who y'all know, is probably my second favorite fighter in the UFC. Maybe my first. It's very close. Like, I've been a big Dustin Poirier fan for a long time. And to see him in this situation, a plus 200 underdog against a number 12 contender in the division, a division that he's been at the top at for so many years now, and for him to respond like that and to just flatline someone who's looked unstoppable in the UFC thus far, extremely impressive.
I'm glad I was wrong about my prediction. I said this was going to be Benoit Saint Denis getting through, maybe by KO, because it's a 5-round fight.
Yeah.
And, this was going to be the beginning, because I said it's got to, and I still believe this, it's got to come at some point with Dustin Poirier.
Oh, it will.
Where it's like you're going to get over the hill and you start trending down.
Eventually.
I thought it was going to be that. Clearly not that. He's still at the peak of his game. He's still unbelievable.
And did he not look like he was in the best shape that he'd ever been? He looked leaner than he had ever been.
He looked phenomenal.
Shredded.
He looked great.
Physically. And then
Dustin, Dustin.
But the other thing about him is just like he's just such a pro's pro, man, out there, like at all times.
Never panics.
Ever.
He's always game.
Even when you think he is like in a bad spot in a fight, he's not.
No.
He's fine.
No.
He can pull something out. He can figure it out.
It's talked about a lot, but I don't think it's talked about enough. He is one of the best boxers in the UFC. He is insane on the feet. He's so good. He's so crisp. He's so smooth. And that hook was...
He puts it right on the button.
Yes, he is accurate. He's a sniper. He's a brawler, too, at the same time. And, dude, that hook was money. And it was thumping. So that was a lot of fun. That was obviously fight of the night for a reason. And I'm glad that the changing of the guard is not happening yet with Dustin Poirier.
All right, now Sean O'Malley and Cheeto. This went exactly just about how I thought it would.
Too.
Besides, no KO, although he had him. Was it the third round?
The
fourth?
knee?
Yeah, third or the fourth round where he had him leading.
Second or third?
Second or something
third.
like that.
Yeah.
But Sean O'Malley just came in there and was not going to make any mistakes, and he was there to prove that he
better.
is a few classes above Chito Vera when it comes to being a fighter. I knew that the first fight was a fluke, but I didn't realize it was that much of a fluke.
Right.
That was a 5-0.
Yeah.
That was Sean.
sweep.
I mean, just Chito didn't come close to winning a round.
Yeah.
It was a ass kicking of epic proportions. Just no knockout.
And any other bantamweight would have been knocked out by that knee. That knee was disgusting.
Yes. Yeah.
Like in a sellout in Miami, super loud, and you could still hear the crack of that knee. I don't know how he withstood it.
This to me, I mean, this showed some maturity from Sean, in my opinion.
It did. It definitely did.
And so, I mean, maybe he had obviously there's a little extra emphasis on this fight because this is the only fight he's lost is in the UFC
Cheeto.
or in the as a professional. But he came in there, and it was not about trying to prove himself to anybody. It was just, I'm going to beat the shit out of this guy.
Yeah, and
that's it.
That he did.
And he, good game plan, executed well, didn't overreach at any point.
He's so good.
He is.
He's so, like, he is precise.
I said this in a text message to y'all, and y'all vehemently disagree, or Gabe did at least. I compare his striking to Izzy's at this point. Yeah. I think his striking is that level.
I didn't vehemently disagree with that.
I think maybe in his hands, but Izzy's striking is so multifaceted, and not that Sean's isn't, because he's got a beautiful spinning back kick. He's got good leg kicks, but Izzy as far as a kicker is on a different level.
I don't think he's a better striker, which is what you really originally said. I think
that's what I did say. Yep.
I think I can compare him to Izzy, but at bantamweight. Like I think that's fair. But I think Izzy's legs are
insane. He doesn't have that. He's got good kicks, but not on Izzy level. But hands
and Izzy's length and everything. It's just, but I get what
Sean
you mean.
Sean is very similar. I mean, Sean's a 5'11" bantamweight, and that just doesn't happen. He's got a lot of length. He uses his reach and limbs well. Like he's legit.
Yeah,
he's for all the people that hated on him for so long.
I think that's what I vehemently disagree with. Better striker. Yeah. I don't know if I could say better striker, but comparable. And their style of fighting's relatively similar.
All right, Kenny, last point. We got to get out of here. We're running long tonight.
Yeah, we're running long tonight. Let's stick on this one for just a few minutes. And I think there's one little thread of this story that I wanted to pull out for you guys to talk about. Obviously, SEC women's tournament is going on right now. The championship game was yesterday, I think, and LSU versus South Carolina. South Carolina has been amazing all year. Lost all 5 of their starters to the WNBA draft, and yet are still undefeated, number 1 in the country. Just a dominant. Dawn Staley's just a dominant force to be reckoned with in basketball. They played a game, and I think with like 2 minutes left in the game, there was an altercation that happened.
Camila Cardoso.
There was a initial kind of shove by an LSU player. Camila Cardoso came running in and pushed
Flau'jae
Johnson down, and then Flau'jae Johnson's brother jumped out of the stands onto the court. So that we can talk about that, but the thread I wanted to pull with y'all is the post-game comments.
Oh God, it just showed class versus no class in my opinion.
By Dawn Staley and Kim Mulkey, the respective head coaches for for South Carolina and LSU. Dawn Staley comes out and she's like, obviously this is terrible. We don't want to see this in our sport. Apologizing for all of it. Kim Mulkey comes out and she's like, we don't want to see that ugliness. But I just wish Cardozo had pushed Angel Reese and not Flau'jae Johnson. Don't pick on a girl that's not your size. Let her and Angel Reese square up with each other next time.
Just clown shit.
Is that clown? Is Kim Mulkey a clown?
Yes, 100%. Look at how she dresses on the sideline too. I mean, she literally tells you that she's a clown. But
her comments are
she's a good coach and she's a championship coach, and I respect her accomplishments. What she said as compared to Dawn Staley just showed no class versus class.
Agreed.
Dawn Staley's like, we don't ever want to see anything like that. She said, even mentioned after the game, talked to Flau'jae, and I even said sorry, and Flau'jae said sorry to me, and we talked through it.
But Kim Mulkey's got to go into the weeds on it.
But she's got to say, oh, well, pick on somebody your own size. Shut the hell up.
No,
just admit that it was ugliness and that you wish it would have never got to that
point. And move on from it. But her comments are always something.
No, she's just she's got a screw loose, dude.
Yeah.
She's a little crazy.
She's a little crazy.
Now, as for Flau'jae Johnson's brother jumping out of the stands,
he got arrested.
No, I get it, and he should be. Here's my thing, and I was trying to talk to my wife about that. I was trying to talk to Taylor about this. Why are there people in our society that can't use common sense? Like, for him, you're jumping over to protect your sister. What are you going to do? Punch a woman?
Right. On TV.
On national television? Right. Like, what was your plan?
Right.
Like, what good was going to come out of that situation? Right. There are situations in my life that I avoid because I go, I don't see anything good for me coming out of this.
Risk versus reward, brother.
Right?
Risk versus reward.
And that seems like an easy risk reward situation.
You're right.
Like the pros and cons, it's all cons, no pros. And it's like there are people that consistently make decisions like that.
It's very fair.
When there's nothing good that can come out of it.
No.
And I can't take myself into that type of mindset.
No, I am a
common sense is like a lost art.
Oh, 100%.
It's nuts.
100%. But no, I've had a cautious attitude my entire life, and a risk versus reward assessment goes through my head with pretty much every scenario. So no, I can't put myself in that mindset. I understand protecting your family. I understand acting out of emotion and being angry. But like you're saying, there's nothing good or positive.
Brother, are you going to jump over
and punch a woman
on national TV? Is that the end? Like, is that what you're going to do?
Because that's what I mean.
Like that
looks like what you're heading to do.
That was kind of the end result, only end result I could see coming from that situation, and it's like that's
not good.
Not good on you, buddy. Like there's nothing good.
Not a good one.
And like even if let's say he did get through with it, no one's gonna be like, oh, he was protecting his sister.
No.
Like I there was no positive commentary that was gonna come out of that, and I just can't understand it.
No, me either. All right, boys, let's shut it down, wrap it up for this week. We appreciate you guys for joining us. If you are watching on YouTube, you can like, subscribe, and comment there. If you're listening, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, you can do the same there. We appreciate you guys for joining us, and we will see you back here next week.
Thank you for listening to On the Bluff. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. Head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co for comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports and how you can become an insider.